Good afternoon, and we've got a rough day going on in these markets in here, but we just want to look ahead right now to spring planting, and we got that Outlook conference here this week, and so then what comes to mind is acreage and the whole acreage debate. As you can see in front of us right now, I'm just going back the last 3 years and look at the acreage, and if we go down to that bottom number, you can look at the total corn, soybeans, wheat, and cotton acres have ranged between 235 and 238 million acres these past 3 years. That's probably a pretty good target to stick with. Now, how are we going to change from 2023 to 2024? Well, Bloomberg this past week came out with their estimates, and they had corn acres at 91.6 million acres, down 3 million from last year. Beans were up around 3 million. Wheat was down 2 million, and cotton was up slightly. So now it comes down to what do we think is going on and what are we hearing from producers? And I've got to tell you, I just think that corn farmers plant corn, okay? And I think that corn acres are going to come down some. I just don't think they're going to come down as much as what people would expect. We'd put that corn acreage figure, at around 93 million acres, and actually wouldn't surprise us a little bit if it was even a little bit higher than that. On the bean side of it, they've got to bounce some from last year. So the easiest thing to do is what you're taking away from corn, to add to soybeans. Wheat acres are going to be down. It's already shown that with their winter wheat crop. We just think the big wild card out there is what's going to happen with cotton acres down south. Cotton is profitable. We've had big rallies in this cotton market. We can just see a pretty big jump back on cotton acres. This number might seem high when you look at what it was a year ago, but keep in mind just a couple of years ago, cotton acres were well above 13 million acres. So, that's kind of our feeling here right now as we head into this Outlook conference at the end of the week. The other thing that's really a big talking point in these markets right now is this commitment of traders report and the massive net short position that the speculators have across the grain complex. And we're not going to disagree with that at all. Okay, and we do need to respect that they do have a big net short position. But keep in mind, their short position is not just bullish on its own. We need a trigger out there for the specs to say we don't want to be short anymore. And the first thing they got to do to get out of their short position is then buy into the market. And then if they decided to go net long, then maybe we can go higher. Now, we think a good way to look at their short position is instead of looking at contracts, let's look at it from a bushel perspective. On corn, the specs are short about 1.5 billion bushels of corn. Now, on soybeans, they're short about 650 million bushels of soybeans. As you can see on the bottom side, they are nearing record shorts on both of them. But what we really need to keep in mind is if the specs decide to cover their position, what's going to be there to stop it? And that's physical bushels. So if we just go and look at what the ending carryout is, we can see the corn ending carryout's above 2.1 billion bushels. The bean carryout is just above 300 million. This is why when we look at this commitment of traders report, and if we get a spark, we think that beans have much more upside potential than corn just because they don't have the physical bushels out there to stop that type of buying from the speculators. This is just the ending carryout. It's not what farmers are physically holding. Our thinking on corn is a farmer has got as much as 7 to maybe 9 billion bushels of corn yet to price out. So the spec has a big net short, but on the other hand, the farmer is heavily net long. As we want to wrap up here today, we've got this Outlook conference, and they're going to release the acreage in here on Friday. Keep in mind, this Outlook conference is what the government thinks. When we get to that March acreage report at the end of March, that's actually a survey-based result. Whether if it's this Outlook conference or the March one, we need to see the total acres between those four principal crops between 235 and 238 million bushels. The last thing is we got to remember that the big net short position by the specs is not bullish in itself. It's only bullish if they decide to start covering and buying into the market. Then it comes down to how much potentially could we potentially see as we move ahead during this year. Any questions, concerns? Feel free to reach out to us. Have a great day.